For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. I hope you had a great St. Patrick's Day. Now, it was several days ago, right? Almost a week ago, if you're listening to this on Friday when we are live on The Scribble. But I've got to tell you something that happened just after we went off the air last Friday. Now, I have syndicated radio shows, and I'm contacted all the time by people who want to either have me listen to their music or just, get a shout-out or whatever. And it's not in the hopes of, getting them signed for a record deal. Maybe it is in some cases, but I think it's also they just want exposure. And very rarely, very, very rarely do I ever either give them a shout-out on the air or invite them onto the show, because there's just so many people, right? I've only got so much airtime, and I kind of feel that if you do it for one, there's so many people, there's so many great, deserving music artists out there, and quite honestly, they really could get more of an audience than I have on the radio anyway, right? You could get a million YouTube views or tens of millions of YouTube views in a matter of a couple of days, and that's not even that's way bigger than the radio audience that I have. So last week, I got a direct message on Twitter from a listener who interacts with me on a regular basis. And, during award show season, we had Nancy O'Dell from Entertainment Tonight on the radio many times previewing the awards shows. And all award show season this year, we were talking about A Star Is Born and Lady Gaga. And Lady Gaga is one of Nancy's favorites. And so knowing that, a listener had sent me a link to this video of a boy and a girl, a man and a young woman in a choir, and they were singing Shallow. And I happened to open the link Saturday morning when I was laying in the bathtub. That's kind of when I get caught up on emails and things like that. So I opened it up, and the name of the video was something like, "Watch his reaction when she starts to sing." So kudos to whoever uploaded the video and used that title, because that hooked me, right? That got me, all right, now I'm intrigued to see what happens. And sure enough, when she sang, it was just incredible. Now, I'm not one of those people who, at a concert or whatever, just gets emotionally moved and starts to cry and clap and stand up. But there were tears streaming down my face. I will admit that. I will admit it, okay? And I tweeted them as my song of the day because it was in the morning, and that's when I tweet out a song of the day, is every morning. And I tagged, or I atted, whatever you call it, the choir on Twitter. And within minutes, they had acknowledged that and liked the tweet and commented to me. And then we had a bit of back and forth discussion. And I said, you know what, I'd love to have you guys on the radio. That would be really cool. So, you know what, let's get in touch and let's make that happen. I didn't realize at the time they were in Ireland, and this was the day before St. Patrick's Day. And so there was sort of some, coincidental timing. I thought maybe, hey, this is a sign, right? I discover them just before St. Patrick's Day, and all right, so I send it off to my folks in the radio department, and I'm like, all right. And then I come to find out that when we're taping our St. Patrick's Day show on the Sunday, that we've got them. I didn't believe that we'd have that quick of a turnaround. And so reason that I'm telling you this story is that we have the audio for you on the Scribble today. We're talking as though it's St. Patrick's Day because it was at the time. Obviously now here on the Scribble it's not, but I still think it was a fascinating story that these kids now have upwards of 90 million views on YouTube. And again, for the record, it was not the choir that reached out to me. It was, like I said, it was a regular radio listener who lives in the United States, so it's not anybody connected, right? Sometimes people do that. Like Donald Trump had that fake publicist that he was, taking calls and saying all these great things. No, this was a legitimate radio listener. And And it was just good. So you kind of get to a point in your life where you're like, you know what, I've got a platform, I've got a channel. Let me give these people, you know, a platform. And I said I don't do it very often. The only other time. How many times have I done it? I remember being at the mall one day. Quick story. We've got to get to a break, and then I also have a rant about online shopping if we've got time for that later on. But the only other time that I did that was I was at the mall with our producer Bonnie Winters. We were on lunch or something, and we go into a store, and there was this song on. Now, this is before the days of apps that you could just hold out your phone and it would, you know, listen for a couple seconds and then tell you what the name of the song is. So, I go into like the corner of the store where there's like a speaker, you know, up by the, and I've got one ear covered like I'm, you know, Mariah Carey faking the high notes, and I'm listening to it, and then on my phone I'm writing down the words that I'm able to hear and understand. Again, because it's a little bit loud in the store, so if you don't really know the words, it's harder to pick them up. And so I'm writing down the words, and I text them or email them or something to Bonnie, and she sends it back to the office and somebody Googles it or whatever it is. And by the time we get back to the office, so I would say within an hour, by the time we get back to the office, we've already got emails back and forth with the manager of this group, and we've got them booked to do an interview on the show. So it was incredible that we were able to do this turnaround. Now, fast forward, I don't even know how long ago this was. So it was probably, I would say, oh geez, I don't even remember. At best, 5 years ago, probably more. I don't believe that group is around anymore, unfortunately. But again, it was just such a catchy song that I really liked. And my point in this is, like, just because I mention you and have you on my radio show doesn't mean that you're going to be launched into superstardom. I like the music, so okay, I'll give you the chance to be heard. Whatever other business decisions people make. It's no different than when you win American Idol, right? You're not guaranteed success in a long career. But anyway, so we have got the two people, Chris and Jess from the Mount Zion Choir. It was taped on our radio show for St. Patrick's Day, but we've got it on the podcast today. So that's coming up. It's in 3 parts right after this. And then, like I said, later on, I've got a story, a bit of a rant about online shopping that I'll tell you about. Stick around because the Scribble starts right now.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
We are back, and the second half of the show is starting right now. Earlier, I told you the story about how I found Chris and Jess on YouTube. A listener sent in a video of, basically it was Chris reacting to Jessica during their duet of Shallow from A Star Is Born, and, you know, maybe I cried a little bit in the bathtub, but I'm not admitting that anyhow. But it made our song of the day last week, and within minutes, they had an invite here on the radio. So now, joining us on the line, all the way from Ireland, is Chris and Jess from the Mount Zion Choir. Hi there.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Did I say that correctly? Mount Zion Choir?
Yeah, Mount Zion, I think.
Mount Zion.
I haven't a clue.
Okay. And I should also say Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, too.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Jess, let me start with you. I've seen you two performing the song a few times, and it seems like everyone is amazed at you hitting those big notes of especially the song Shallow. But let's rewind, though. Where did the song choice come from?
Well, Chris had seen the movie, and he really liked the song from it, so then he asked me to sing it with him at our Christmas concert.
And so what other kinds of songs does the choir sing? Like, do you do, like, show tunes? What other sort of music do you do? Chris, I'll ask you that, I guess.
We kind of do a mix of all kinds. kind of songs, so we do like a bit of rap, kind of modern day hits, and kind of old classics as well.
And so you're part of the same choir, and we'll talk about the group in a second, but then tell me, how long have you been singing with Jess? Like, how long have you two known each other?
A year.
Okay. And how many times had you rehearsed the song before performing it in public?
We rehearsed it once in November, a month before the actual concert, and we didn't even practice it before we went on to perform, so...
And so it does.
Bad, like, you know?
It seems like you're genuinely surprised at the power of her voice every time you hear it and you see it, because you're actually reacting. What's going through your head when you hear it for the first time, Chris?
Just wow, like, you know, it's unbelievable.
And Jess, tell me then, what is your history with singing? Like, how old were you when you started to sing? And I guess, how old are you now?
Well, I'm 17 now, and I've kind of always been singing. At about 7, I joined the stage school, and so I just did shows with them.
And Chris, how old are you?
I'm 19.
19. And how long have you been singing?
I've been singing since I was about 3 or 4.
Oh, wow. What's the biggest show you two have ever performed? How many people would you say?
Oh, I actually don't know. I think...
Well, I know your videos have been viewed many times, upwards, tens of millions of times. A big part of that is thanks to, like, sort of that chemistry that you two have on stage. What sort of feedback are you getting from people when they hear you and see your videos? Jess, I guess you can answer that one.
It's mainly really good comments always, and just people saying that the choir have such a good bond, things like that.
And where do you all perform then, Chris? I know, like, I've seen you perform even with, like, a symphony, it looked like. What are some of the venues that you play in?
So sometimes it's arenas, hotels, concert halls, kind of all that kind of stuff, you know.
That's really cool. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna get back into the music, but when we come back, we're gonna have more from Chris and Jess joining us on the line from Ireland from the Mount Sion Choir.
Today's best music with Jeremy Bradley.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We're back here talking with our new friends Jess and Chris, all the way on the line from Ireland. They are part of the Mount Sion Choir. You may have already heard them singing Shallow from A Star Is Born. You know, we were talking in the last segment about the choir, and I wanted to get a little bit more information about it. How many people are in the choir, and how old? Because obviously, 17. Is it all teenagers? Jess, what's the group like? Or Chris?
I'll actually answer that. There's about 25 in the choir, and they age from about 12 to 20.
Is this a community group, or how does everybody get involved?
We're an inner city school in Waterford, and it started off 6 years ago, and it's still running now to this day.
Jess, is there a song that you guys perform that really gets the biggest reaction from crowds?
For the choir, I'd say it's probably the rap medley.
The rap medley, what does that consist of?
It's just a mashup of kind of popular songs. 7 songs.
Okay, what are some of the songs?
No Regrets, Havana.
I can't remember what other songs are now.
Alright.
I'm trying to think of it now. Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Okay, alright.
And just a lot more, you know.
Is this something that you want to do as a career? Is this just a hobby? Where do you see this going for you? I guess, Jess, if you want to answer first.
Yeah, I'd love to pursue a career in music.
As a solo artist, as a duo, a group, where do you see, like, let's say 5 years from now, what do you see yourself doing, Jess?
Well, I think at the moment we're just really happy doing all the little concerts that we're getting as the choir.
Okay, and what about you, Chris? Is this a hobby or is this going to be a profession for you?
I think for me it's just a hobby. You know, it's not something I'd like to pursue. I'd like to sorry, I'm after mumbling up my words. I think what I'd like to go on and do is radio presenting. So.
Oh, okay. It's not a hard job, I can tell you that.
It seems like a lot of fun, you know, so I'd love to do it.
It is. It depends on if you want to just sort of sit and talk and tell stories or interview people or play games, whatever you want to do. Yeah, it is actually a little bit more challenging than that. But we have to take another break, though. But I want to find out directly from the source what St. Patrick's Day is like across the pond. And I'm going to get the inside scoop from Chris and Jess from the Mount Sion Choir when we come back. Stick around, everybody.
Whoa! Today's best music!
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Jeremy Bradley here once again on the phone with our friends from Ireland, and with St. Patrick's Day, I have to know what it's actually like, because here in Canada it's green beer and shamrock shakes from McDonald's. So I know, Jess, there was a parade there. What happens on St. Patrick's Day for you?
So I walked in the parade earlier today with the theatre group that I'm part of, and it's just a real big family event, kind of. Everyone gets together in the town centre, and then there's the big parade with all the local groups.
And outside of the parade, then, what else happens around town, Chris? From when you wake up in the morning until you go to bed, Chris, what do you do on St. Patrick's Day?
What do I do on St. Patrick's Day? Usually I go in and about town. There's a lot happening, loads of street acts going on and loads of stuff like that. And then usually I ended up by going home to watch the Irish film The Commitments. So.
Okay, so what are some of the traditions that people would have? So I guess a parade would be a tradition. Is there something that people do like every year? Like what happens?
So like a parade will go on every year in the town, and it will consist of loads of like local groups and loads of like kind of stuff that goes on in the town, you know.
Is there green beer? That seems to be a thing here in Canada, but I'm not sure if it's just more because they just turn it green. Like what do people do?
Well, yeah, they usually go to the pub, like, but there's no green beer that I know of in Ireland. Seriously, kind of like an orangey colour.
Right.
You know.
I should ask though. Actually, what's the drinking age there? I might be asking the wrong people. How old do you have to be to drink?
18.
So Chris, do you have a favorite kind of beer then? Do you drink beer?
Yeah, I do. It's like the cider called Orchard Thieves.
You know, we've got to wrap this up, but I know that the choir has a lot of big things happening. Is there a website, or where can people get more information about the choir?
The choir, we have a Facebook and Instagram page, and if you just search Mount Sion Choir, you'll find us there. And
all right, well,
we're going to come to America next year, so in the summer of 2020. So we look forward to that, you know.
Oh well, tell me about that. We've got only about 30 seconds, but where are you going? What are you doing?
We don't know where we're going just yet, but probably around New York, somewhere like that, you know.
Ah, well, that will be cool. Well, you know, you guys will have to let me know, and maybe we'll meet up.
Yeah, we will, of course.
All right, well, that would be great. Well, this is probably costing us a fortune on this phone call, so I just want to thank you. Great job, you guys. I love your music. Chris and Jess from the Mount Sion Choir in Ireland. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. And again, thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Online shopping is kind of the big deal right now, and I think it's even more convenient when you can get your groceries brought to you. Well, even ordering food is just so much more convenient, right? And I found that there was one weekend in the winter when it was cold at home in Canada. There was one weekend where I ordered my meals. I did have groceries brought to me, and I gotta tell you, the convenience of it was just so great. And at the same time, then, I also have a cleaning service that comes and cleans my house too. Like, it really, it's a little bit expensive to kind of live that life, but at the same time, if you've got the money to do it, like, I'm not a reckless spender, as we know from my cheapskate book, but there's just some things that I just don't care to do. I don't care to get on my hands and knees and scrub my oven, or take a toothbrush to my bathtub and just start, scrubbing the jets of the tub and whatever. And so if there's people who are willing to do it, great, that's fine. I'm more than happy to do it. So I don't have that because I feel like I'm a rich celebrity and I can do that, darling. No, I don't like doing it. And I'm a very busy person anyway. Now, this is where the excuses come in. I'm a very busy person anyways. The last thing that I want to do on my weekend when I've got a couple of hours is to then just be up and about and cleaning my house or doing things that I don't like to do. Or the yard work. I pay somebody to come and do my grass and shovel the snow. So anyway, I had ordered a bunch of food one weekend. I ordered some groceries. Now, I think that I told that story on the show here before, was that we were going through a cold spell in Canada, and normally if you order your groceries by 11 a.m., they can be delivered same day. And so this was a Tuesday at the time, and I had placed the order, but the next delivery date available was Friday night. Now, of course, it's cheaper to have delivery on Friday, I'm guessing because that's really not a peak hour, right? Who wants to sit at home between 9 and 10 o'clock on a Friday and wait for groceries? So it was cheap. But the first time that you order, it was free anyway, so it really didn't matter at that point. But the first opportunity was Friday. Now, they had a weekly flyer, and it switches over on a Thursday. So I order on Tuesday, and I didn't see that now until I'm just about to check out, and it says you're not charged until the day that it ships, because if you're getting bananas or something that has to be weighed by pound, it could only be at a certain time, right? They don't know what to charge you before they actually bag up your groceries, and they're not doing that until a couple hours before they bring them to you. And so I had called the store and I said, well, you know what, your next delivery date is Friday. That's not my fault, but I'm not going to be able to get the sale prices. So I had to literally go in and manually type in a note for every item and say sale price was da-da-da-da as per manager so-and-so. And again, it was just really inconvenient because he said they're not going to have the sales price in the system anymore. It will be the new price. And so I had said to the... there's a note, you can put it at a general overall note. And so in that, I had written this big long paragraph. I spoke with so-and-so at the store. He said to override the price, you'll correct it, blah, blah, blah. If the price correction cannot be done, cancel this order and do not charge my credit card. So the guy comes and he delivers the groceries that night. And it seemed oddly expensive. And so he's got his little clipboard with the kind of the rundown. And I said, was the cheese adjusted? Was the this adjusted? Because that was sort of, the biggie. And he looks and he's like, oh, I don't think it was. And I said, well, do you have like the actual details of the order? And he said, yeah. And so he showed me on his clipboard. And I said, read that last sentence of the paragraph. And he's like, oh, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. So do you want me to take everything back? And I felt bad because he had hauled all this stuff in the freezing cold. So I was like, no, that's fine. I'll just talk to the store and I'll get it corrected. Meanwhile, I was pissed. One, because he was late. Two, on a Friday night. Not that I was going out or doing anything, but just still, I'm a stickler for that. If you tell me 9 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock. And my window, I believe, was between 8 and 9, and so then they email you, he's running a little bit late. Anyway, that's fine. It was cold. I got it. So I have this conversation with the store then to get the price adjusted, and the manager was sort of debating with me. He's like, well, no, in the system, I show that it was da-da-da-da. Well, what's the next line on the receipt? And he's walking me through the receipt, and obviously I can read. And he's like, can you take a picture of the receipt and send it to me? Because that doesn't jive with what we have in the system. Well, I got nothing to hide. I'm not lying. And so I do. I take a picture, and he's like, yeah, we've got a different receipt here, in the computer. Not a receipt, I guess transaction or something anyway, a breakdown of pricing. And so he apologized, oh, you're right, and he had to spend however long going and correcting it, so I'm sure there was a conversation internally about that. But that was my first experience grocery shopping, and it just wasn't good. I just didn't, it kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. And I absolutely hate shopping. I hate going to stores, but I do love grocery shopping. That's something that I can spend an hour, maybe even 2 hours doing. And there are people, when I've gone grocery shopping, if you're in a relationship, or there was a time even when I went with my mom, because I don't see my parents very often, so it's sort of a punishment to me. I'm sorry, it's a great evening of fun. I could do it for a really long time, and people get annoyed with that. So now the other story is online shopping with Walmart, and they have free delivery on orders over $50. And I'm not even going to get into the whole thing where I had first gone to their website to have the groceries delivered, and then after going through and shopping and basically putting everything in the cart and then trying to finish the transaction, find out that they don't deliver in my city. That was a piss off. That was the big. And then when I actually did get a store that delivered, they screwed it up. So that's sort of what put the bad taste in my mouth for grocery shopping online. Now, with Walmart, I get a big-ass bag of dog food, really heavy things. And so I thought, wait a second, if I can have this delivered and not have to worry about, lugging this around, again in the cold, and have it delivered, why not do that? That just seems like the best solution. So I'd ordered the big bag of dog food, a big box of dog biscuits, and then a big bag of rabbit food, the three heaviest things that I buy. And it came to $52, so it was perfect. I'm going to buy this stuff anyway, so you know what? Let me just have it delivered. And oftentimes it's a special trip to the store anyway to get these things. So I order it. They're very communicative with the emails. Your shipment's delayed, of course, right? And so I was grateful for that. And I came home from the office, and I was like, all right, there's going to be this delivery. This is going to be really convenient and handy. All this stuff is going to be there for the pets. Come home, it's not there. There's a notice that I've got to go and pick it up from the post office. Even though they offer delivery, and they do say that they will leave it, in your designated place. For me, it was the side door. My backyard is private. You wouldn't have even known it was there, so they can't use that excuse of it was going to get stolen. And the worst part, though, was that the post office is in the opposite direction of the Walmart, and it's further away. So it's actually really not convenient to do that. And they held it at the post office. I said, I'm not going to go all the way there. That's just not, no. Again, it's closer for me just to go to a store and get it. So send it back and be done with it and give me my refund. But they wouldn't do that. They had to wait it out 10 days. It's sort of like a holding time. I had to refuse they said, you can go to the post office and refuse the delivery. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm not schlepping all the way down there just to go and say no thanks. And if I call the post office, they're not going to do anything anyway. So that's fine. Wait it out the 10 days. It's going to get sent right back to you. You're just wasting your money. And I thought that was just a one-time thing, maybe because there was snow in the yard or something. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Well, fast forward now to last week where there was a pet vacuum on sale. And again, it's another big item that I was like, I don't want to schlep it around. Order it online. Again, free shipping. And now Canada Post does have the option to leave delivery instructions because they're getting with the times. I think Canada Post is the only courier service or delivery service that doesn't have either a redelivery option or it's just not user-friendly. And, they've also had these scandals online where they even show, caught on camera, where they're not even attempting the delivery. They're just going and putting that card in your mailbox, so you've got to go pick it up. Anyway, so I email Walmart media relations, and I just said, like, this is the second time they didn't leave the delivery. Like, what's the problem here? This is just not good. And oh my God, we've got like less than a minute. Let me just rip through the media relations comment. Walmart Canada works with a variety of delivery carriers to ensure the safe and timely delivery of our customers' online orders. A number of factors are used to determine which carrier is selected to deliver an order, including shipment, destination, origin, and weight. We continue to work with our carriers to ensure the efficient delivery of our customers' orders. A great option for customers is Walmart's free pickup service, where online orders can be picked up at their nearest Walmart store. I do have to get that comment in because I was just thrashing Walmart. Nevertheless, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat